This is called Ask a 3D Designer. My name is Zach Correa. I am the community manager here at Sculpteo, and I'm with Alvise Russo, who is our head industrial designer in Paris,
Hello,
France. So,
everyone.
hello.
Hi, Zach.
Um, Hi, Alvise. How are you doing?
I'm fine. You? How's it going there?
Doing well. Going well. Just to make sure, can everyone hear us all right? I've included kind of a little rundown of what we're going to be doing today in the chat at the bottom. So you can kind of see what we'll be doing. And if you can hear me, if you could go ahead and say it's all good, that would be awesome. So today, thank you, Nora. Good, glad we can hear you. Today we are going to be working with photogrammetry to repair a file that was taken through rendering. Photogrammetry is a process of 3D scanning an object by taking multiple pictures around an object. Today we'll be using the programs Meshlab and Mixer, and the photogrammetry or Memento. I will get you all of those links as we start to use them. But before we kind of dive into that, I would love to tell you a little bit about what's going on in Sculpteo right now. We just teamed up with automaker Skoda. So if you go in and test drive a Fabia car in Europe, we will actually 3D print a version of that car, and that will be sent to your door to kind of as a little reminder of to go buy your Fabia car. There is a little background on Alvise's computer. You can see there. That is what one of the cars.
Oh, you can see
like.
my screen?
Yep, you can see it there, Alvise. So without further ado, I will pass it over to you, Alvise, to get us started on the
Thanks.
photogrammetry process.
So, what today we're gonna do is show you how to get from a scan data, from a scan file, to a printable object. And the file that we have here comes from one of our customers. He used a technology preview from Autodesk that is called Project Memento. It's an awesome photography software, very easy to use, and especially free, at least until it will be commercialized, or we don't know what's going to happen. But at the moment you can have it for free, and it's very easy to use. So what he did, he actually took several pictures of this statue that you perhaps are seeing on my screen now. That it's in a park, and he uploaded to Memento, and Memento automatically recreated a 3D shape of the statue. All the process being done on the cloud by Autodesk. And then he gave this file to us. He didn't know how to repair and create a printable, and we explained to him it's very easy, and it's what we're going to explain you today. All you need to have is this mesh mixer and a bit of Meshlab. We're going to use Meshlab just for one simple operation, and you're going to get to have a printable file. As you can, we printed it in our full color material, and it's here. It's 12 centimeters high. The resolution is pretty high, as you can see. The statue was 1.5 meters, so it's a nice model, I think.
To have on your desk there, a little reminder of.
Yeah, and it's very easy. Everybody can do that. So let's start from Meshlab. Meshlab is also a free software. Why we need this as starting point? The file that we got, that this user got from Memento, is pretty big. As you can see here, is an OBJ file that weighs 320 megabytes, so way too heavy to be handled by Mesh Mixer. It's a very good software. Unfortunately, still can't handle huge files. It tends to crash a lot with that and slow down. We definitely can't import this huge OBJ file in there. We need to reduce the number of polygons and to its size. As you can see, the OBJ file comes with an MTL that defines the position of the textures, and the textures are these 3 JPEG files that we have here. All this stuff needs to stay in the same folder to be read correctly by the software. So let's bring the OBJ. I'm already talking. So I wrote. That's how the file looks like. It's quite slow to zoom in because it's big, as I told you. You can see that in the middle there's the statue, and all around it they're all seen because the photogrammetry solves everything basically.
Right.
But of course, the only thing we want is the statue in the middle. So what we're going to do now is reduce the number of polygons. You can read the number of polygons on the bottom of the screen at the voice faces. It's 2.5 at the moment. We need it at least alpha. So we're going to go to filters, remeshing, simplification, and reconstruction, and quadric edge collapse decimation. Interface of Meshlab is not that user-friendly as you expected, but it's a very complete software. So as you can see, he asked me for the target number of faces, and its default number is set to the half of the starting one, and I think it will work just fine. Sure that this box is checked, percent topology, and optimal position of simplified vertices, because it's just going to try to keep the mesh as close as possible to the original, and click apply, and the process might take some seconds since the mesh is pretty big. So Meshlab is very
and reducing its file size into something that's printable on Sculpteo.com, because I know what we recommend is any file that is less than 50 megabytes. Anything larger than that will take a long time, and our repair functions may not function entirely. So it's important to keep it under 50 megabytes. Now,
yeah.
the
file actually, as the file is now after this reduction is still quite big for the website, but the reason is because we still have all the scene around it, since we're do it later.
Okay.
As you can read here, now we cut the number of faces by half, is 1.2 million now, so we can export. It's good for Mesh Mixer. We can export this mesh, export mesh as. We're gonna use an OBJ extension, and I suggest to create a new folder. I'm gonna call it the same but reduced, and put the statue reduced file OBJ in this new folder. Be sure that color and text coding and normal are selected, and OK.
Our screen here obviously is running a little bit behind your.
So it's taking a few seconds to export.
But I'm pretty sure we're getting a lot of the ideas down. It's probably about 3 or 4 seconds behind.
Well, I'll try to go slower. I don't know how to solve this actually. But if you have problems, just write it in the chat. We're gonna stop it, and if you miss something, we can go back. So,
if you have any questions, feel free to.
We go to check out the file looks like. So this is the file that we just exported. It's a file with an MTL, and the file size is half, more or less, 170 megabyte. But we see no texture. So Meshlab, when you export an OBJ, it doesn't automatically recreates the texture that you were using. So what we're gonna do is take the previous textures of the original file, copy them, and paste that in the new folder with the new reduced obj file. This is essential to correctly read the file in Mesh Mixer. So let's open Mesh Mixer.
I'll get you the link.
This is how the interface. This is how the interface looks like. Yeah, Mesh Mixer is an awesome software. It's free and it's owned by Autodesk, and it has a lot of tools dedicated to 3D printing that you can't actually find in any other free tool available. So let's take this statue reduce file, so the OBJ. I just drag and drop it in Mesh Mixer, and now it's loading it.
So right now that file is being imported into Mesh Mixer. And for a quick recap, we have taken the photogrammetry file and reduced it in size to about half the size so that Mesh Mixer can run effectively its functionalities.
So the file here, that's how it looks like. It's the same as before, actually. So be sure when you open any file in Mesh Mixer, you're using the right shader. In this moment, since I have a texture, I'm applying this this earth shader that allows you to see the texture. Any other shader will not. This one, for example, allows you to see the orientation of the triangles, but lets you discover it. So for the moment, let's keep the texture one. First thing I'm going to transform. As you see, is wrong. The mesh is wrongly oriented, it's rotating in a weird way. This will affect all my work later. So let's go to the Edit tab and click on Transform. These arrows will appear in the middle of the mesh, allowing me to rotate it 90 degrees. I'm snapping each 5 degrees, just going a bit further with your arrow from the center. 90 degrees is perfect. Accept on the bottom, on the top left of the screen. Again, every time I confirm or do something, it takes some seconds to be accepted. Okay, as you can see, you can read the number of vertices and triangles of the mesh on the bottom right of the screen. Always keep an eye on that. Now we're good. What the next step is deleting all the unwanted geometry around the statue. So the fastest way, there are a couple of ways to like. The fastest for me is to go on top of it, go into the Select tab. There are two selection tools in Mesh Mixer. Take the brush one. There is this kind of ball and now it's too big. Adjust the size to the size of the statue and click on it to select the whole statue from the, just more or less. Then I'm going to modify and invert selection. So what I'm doing is selecting first what I want, invert to select all the rest, and then edit again and discard. Again, this in a couple of seconds. All the rest of the mesh here, you can read the number of triangles now is just 293,000, and this is a perfect size for a 3D printable file. So yes, we can stay with this. We just further delete some grass around the mesh.
So right now you're using the select tool and the brush in order to do that. And that has reduced the number of faces to what is it, into a third?
I'm reducing the number of faces because I deleted all the geometry around it, so the file is actually way lighter than before. So, all right, now let's error the rest. You can see Meshlab, Mesh Mixer, sorry, is showing me with red lines all the open edges on my model. So, sorry. Open edges means there might be a hole in there, and that's the case. So we need to close this in order to make it printable. There are a couple of ways again to do this. First I'm going to show you both. First one, I take it. Wait, actually, first of all, I want to see the edges of the triangle. So I'm gonna tap W on my keyboard, and the edges appear. And then go back to the brush selection, a smaller one, to identify all. Can be a quick one. Selecting the triangles around the edge.
So
then edit again. Yeah, erase and fill, and this creates new geometry in the hole that I can adjust through these parameters on the top left, like smooth. As you can see, the mesh updates, so this gives me high control on the new geometry. This kind of smooth is accept. And click accept. You can play around with different parameters. Not gonna go into details. Again, some seconds to update. Clear selection, and color will update also in some seconds. Where the colors updates, well, we can come back to the shader, normal shading, and try to close the second hole. For this one, I'm going to show you another way. Go to the Analysis tab and click on this very useful tool called Inspector. When Inspector is selected, these balls appear showing you the problems that the mesh currently has. So, and to try to solve them automatically, we can just try to click on the ball, and Mesh Mixer, without telling you what actually the problem is or what it's trying to do, is trying to automatically for you. That's what it did here. Let's do it also for this other second hole.
So those two different types of repairing tools. The first has a lot more control, and the second is easier, but it's automatic. Is that right?
It's automatic, and exactly. I'll click done. The advantage of the first one is that, as you saw, I have some parameters that I can tweak to choose the smoothness and so on. In the second one, no. A great thing about Mesh Mixer when it's in its repairing tools is that when it closes holes like this in a textured model, and this is not really clean, this kind of software, is that it recreates a new texture that is applied to the new geometry. So only in this area that simulates the texture around it. So it copies the color of the triangles around it to create a new one, as you see here and there. So in the file that we're going to export later, we're going to have a new image file that is going to be automatically created and exported by Mesh Mixer. It represents the new created tool on this new geometry to cover the holes. So we still have one blue line on the bottom. We don't want to close this as treating it like a normal hole. As you see, the mesh has no thickness. It's definitely not printable yet. We can treat this as a hole because we want this to be a flat base, because we want our statue to stand on its own. So there's a specific tool meant for that. We can find it in the Edit tab, and it's called Plane Cut. A plane will appear and is showing you in a transparent way all the part that will be discarded after the cut. You can move this plane, grabbing these arrows, and rotate it to place it correctly as we want.
That to the bottom of the base.
Okay, this seems good.
From there, we'll give you a
and this probably will still need nice software. So this in some seems positioning.
Looking good. We're having a moderate issue with
area
video. And the sound.
To calculate the new geometry.
So we're having a moderate issue with your sound and video there, obviously. For a quick recap, what's going on right now is we are chopping off the bottom, the excess material at the base of the model, and creating a closed model such that it can be printed. A file that does not have a complete surface is actually unable to be printed, though there are repair tools on the Sculpteo website that can fix some of those issues. They will not repair all of them immediately, and you won't have as much control if you do it on the Sculpteo website. You would have more control than something like Mesh Mixer. Avise's sound is still having some issues. Avise, you there? There you are. Oh, we hear you. I see you.
Can you hear me? I'm here. Yeah, I've been always hearing and see you all the time. I don't know. I think the connection here might be not the best. So, you confirm me everything is fine?
Everything is fine. Everything looks good.
Yes.
It's just a matter of smoothing out the model, and I think we're ready to upload.
So. Okay. Yes. Let's show. Well, first of all, I want to check what the size of my model. So far, we never check it. We don't know how actually the model, how big is the model at the moment. So let's go to what is other useful tool that Mesh Mixer has, and it's called Unit Dimension. This bounding box will appear, and it's showing me the size in 3 axes. So the vertical one in this case is the green y-axis. And here you can change the dimension and the units, the millimeters, and I want this statue to be 15 centimeters high. So I can just retype 150 millimeters and press done. It looks the same, but it's actually now at the right scale. So only now I'm able to use this other tool that's called Measure, that allows me to interactively check the thickness in parts of my model. I'm just gonna take this type of measure, go to my model, click on the base. I want to see how the base is thick. So this red line represents the thickness of the base. I can read its dimension on the right of the screen. It's 8.2 millimeters. So it's defined for our full color material, and I click done. So everything looks okay here. I want just so in this moment I'm ready to export a statue. I just want to show you another tool that might be useful, especially for this kind of file coming from a scan file that sometimes has noise or irregularities on some edges or just parts that haven't been clearly pictured by the photogrammetry software. Like in this case, you can see the little scratch here. So Meshmixer has this great smoothing tool. It can work in two ways. The way I prefer is by selecting the part first, again with the brush, this way, then going to deform and smooth. As you can see, it's already, it's immediate and it's already smoother than before. And there are different ways of smoothing. You can visually see how it changed. I like cotton and 2 parameters as well. Accept. The second way that I'm not going to show you, it's under the Sculpt tab and allows you to smooth the model interactively with a brush that wherever touch will smooth. I prefer this one. It allows you to control the area that you want to smooth and also the level of smoothness. So you can do this in every part of the model you would like to see it smoother. For the moment, I'm just going to stop here. And okay, and I think it's the moment to export. I think we everything we can check. We've done everything we can do in Meshmixer. There are no errors shown anymore on the mesh. The texture looks fine. So let's export it. File, export. And again, we should create, wait, let's go to the same folder and let's create a new folder again. So I'm going to say statue fixed this time. And then again here. And be sure that when you export it, you need an OBJ again to have all the colors and texture information reported in the website. And be sure that you will to use this per vertex option for the OBJ format or both, because if you want to apply some of our tools, and be sure that the texture is kept intact as the same way you model it. These have to be applied per color. The color have to be applied per vertex. So remember this, it's very, and save it. Okay, in this moment is exporting it again. It will take some seconds. And yeah, there are some more things we need to check before, but everything can be done on a website, and we're gonna show you how. Now, okay, let's check how this file looks like. So this is the file that I just exported. So an OBJ 30 megabyte is MTL is here, and what the Meshmixer did in a different way from Meshlab is recreating the JPEG file. So I have them here, and I don't need to copy and paste them again. And as I told you before, there is a new image file is a JPEG, and it represents the new texture created on the host enclosed before. So everything looks fine. What I need to do now is select all of them and zip them in a unique file. This is the reason is because the upload will be faster. This weighs just 20 megabytes, so it's perfect for our website limit. We can handle files until 50 megabyte. It's always better to have it as small as possible. To find a nice compromise between mesh resolution and file size. I would say that for models of this size or this scale, there is never a real need to have more than 300 or 400,000 in some cases triangles. Everything more than that, it's quite useless. It's will not have any reflection on the actual print. You won't see that more resolution on the print. So let's go to. I'm on the website. I went to the upload panel and just click on select file for upload. It's the easiest thing you can do on our website. So let's find our today folder. Start to fix. And the zip file is here. You have a couple of checks that you can decide if they make your visibility public or private. And as you can see, the prediction is 19 minutes at the moment. This might get faster actually. The connection that I have in this moment is not that good, but a 20 megabyte file like this, it should not take that more than 5 or 6 minutes. Yes, we're not gonna shoot. Do you want to see? Do you want to wait for 25 minutes, Zach?
I think we're
We
looking
do.
at 31 minutes right now, so probably another
Let's say
minute or so.
your.
Which we will have there in a second. Sure.
So you wish this?
Sure, Arthur. We have Arthur asks if there's any info on the multicolored material. There is, in fact, and I'm going to cover that as we kind of run through the 3D page here. So we offer 7 different materials: plastic, resin, alumide, multicolored ceramics, and metals. Multicolor is the only material that we have that has different colors available directly out of the print. So that is what we're actually using with Skoda when we create the models through that. They leave the printer fully colored, and just after a quick sandblast and a quick wash, they are completely fixed. What's great about the multicolor material is we also allow it to be hollowed and thickened on our website. And our thickening algorithms on the website, they actually maintain the overall structure of the object. So while this is loading, you can see that the price is automatically generated, the estimated shipping date, and also the size are automatically generated. All of those things can be affected depending on the tools that you use on the web through our website. If you head over to the review section in particular, that will give us a better view of kind of the problem areas with the print. I know on this file there were some issues with the fingers. They were kind of stubby and not really printable. So we actually have a thickening tool that you can see down at the bottom. It's still in beta form, but you can use that to automatically generate a thicker version of your file that will automatically be printable to the minimum dimensions required on Sculpteo. Alisa, what's the minimum size for a multicolored print? I can't recall. I think it's 2 millimeters.
It's for supported walls is 2 millimeters actually. Yes, because it's a quite fragile material. So for parts that need to support weight, like the base in this case, is to at least be.
You're slowing down on us again, but as Alvise was saying, the base would need to be thicker. In this case, the multicolored material is particularly fragile and is good for these types of cases. which are kind of more ornamental. But if the base, so the base in this case would need to be at least 2 millimeters thick. But kind of small aspects could be a little bit finer than that. So there you can see
Yeah.
all of the green area on the model. That means the green is good to go. The red is too thin, and the yellow is on the fence. So if at least you go ahead and hit the thickening button, I think would be. Let me see what that gives us. And the thickening tool can usually take up to about 5 minutes to process. So depending on the size of the model, this one is on
Or
the upper.
even less. It depends. Yeah.
It depends on the connection and the charger let's use. But Elvis, do we have one that's already thickened? We can show them really quickly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Make all the process quicker. I already did this process, and I'm going to show you now the result. So while the actual thickening is happening, we can take a look to the result. This is the same file that we just uploaded, and it's after the thicken tool has been applied to the thumb. As you see, it looks
1 second there. We're still waiting.
stranger than before. If somebody, but it's been brought, the thumb has been brought to the required thickness that is automatically calculated by the algorithm, and so you don't actually need to know why you do this. The tool is completely automatic, and it's related to the material that you just choose. So if you change material, even if you rescale the object, the thickening tool will automatically up and modify the geometry in that area. So as you can, the high quality rendering is still loading. As you can see, even with this low quality rendering, you can already see that now it looks pretty. Review tab to have another solidity check on this thickened model.
Can you hear me, Elvis?
Zach?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good.
Yes.
So while we're waiting for that, so that shows us a little bit about how the thickening tool works. It will only affect the areas of the model that need to be thickened. Whereas 159, 170 euro, that's kind of expensive for a print. Well, there's a way to reduce that price, isn't there, Elvis?
There is the statue is there's still a thin spot, but nothing is mentioned here. I can review and check out if I want. We developed this tool that allows you to actually decrease the price if you think that it will be applicable to this case. It's called, if you go to the optimize tool, you can see it's called hollowing. And what hollowing does, it's creating a offset of the external surface of the mesh internally in order to have a printed object that requires less material to be printed, and so less time and less money for you and for us, and if just depending on the model, or sometimes half of the price, sometimes until 80%. It really depends on the geometry.
So
in this case, it might change a bit.
Is through the bounding box and through the amount of material used. Hollowing reduces the amount of material used by adding two holes
Yes,
in
and
the object. You're able to place those two holes yourself, and material to actually be cleared out by blowing through one of the holes.
exactly. So in this case, in this area where the rock is, it looks quite big. This also is it's a powerful but also quite heavy tool to be used and completely automatic again. This might take also a couple of minutes, but I'm sure everybody will be up for waiting a couple of minutes in order to save this amount of money. I did this process, so we can skip again, and I can bring you to another tab. The same file again after the hollowing tool has been applied. So we are just a couple of minutes in the future. As you can see, the price went down. It was 169 after the thickening, yes, 169, and now it's 133. So 36 euros saved in such a in a 15 centimeter model. It means a lot, I think, and it's also lighter. So again, you have no parameters to set. The material that you choose is setting everything for you. The required thickness is applied internally, and these two holes placed by me just with a mouse click on the bottom to make it less visible. Yeah, the holes are required because we need to remove the powder from the inside of the model. So we physically need two holes to sandblast internally the model. And that you don't need to worry about anything else.
Then there you have it. Yep. On my screen, does everyone out there, do you see the hollowed model right now? Give me a quick yes if you do. Not yet. Obviously, we're still waiting to see the hollowed model. Is it on? Is it up?
Yes, you're not seeing that?
We are not. No.
There might be a delay in the connection.
Well, in short, the hollowed model will save you about 30 euro in this case, 37 euro, I do believe. But for a quick recap of everything that we put together today, we used photogrammetry. We are reloading the screen, so I'll let you see the hollowed tool in its full effect. In the meantime, we used a file that was attained using photogrammetry, which is a scanning process using Autodesk's Memento program. That gave us a pretty large file, so we had to reduce that in Meshlab. And then we took it to Mesh Mixer, where we, again, got rid of the excess information, filled some holes, and created a new base. After that, we took it to Sculpteo. We uploaded it to Sculpteo, where we were able to not only hollow it, but thicken it in preparation for a 3D print. And the hollowed model, as you can see there, saved us over 30 euro on the final cost of the print. So it reduced the price pretty greatly, and the structural integrity of it are all entirely maintained. At least we see it now. If you could scroll to the top of that screen, we might be able to see the price drop.
Can you see it?
Still waiting on it. So In the meantime, we'd like to thank you all for attending our first ever webinar here at Sculpteo with the 3D. Yep, there we see it. You see it dropped 100. It dropped 37 euro or 36 euro. So it's a pretty significant drop. But we'd like to thank you all for coming to our 22% in savings. That's pretty good, Alex. Alex says. Thank you all for coming. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook at Sculpteo. Sign up to our newsletter and follow our blog. We always have exciting new content about the happenings within Sculpteo and kind of the companies that we're working with. If you have any files that you'd like us to present on the show, be sure to send them to ask3d@sculpteo.com. We already have a couple files in there that we are debating for next week, and we'd love to have yours as part of the debate. You might send them. You can send any 3D file that is unprintable. Arthur asks, can I send any file? Make sure it is a 3D file that is unprintable. So not just any random file. Though we'd love to help you kind of get your project up and running, if that's a thing that you're looking forward to. Alvis, how you doing?
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I hope you are able now to see the hollow. Yeah, see you next week.
See you next week. See you, everyone. Thank you.